God is my refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, I will not fear, though the earth be removed and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And the truth, it needs no defense. Good morning and welcome to Johnny's Bite. Now, there's been a conversation about breaking the 8 and making sure that the NPP stays in power until after 2024 and beyond. Chairman Wontumi indeed had said that the contest between 2024 and beyond is stronger than apartheid. He has said that. But we are just in the first year of the second term of the Nana Addo Dankwa-led administration. And if I remember very well, his inaugural speech in Parliament for his second term did not talk about a preoccupation of breaking the 8. Because all across, everybody seems to be complaining about the challenges in the country. Recently, I'm sure you heard the Catholic Bishops' Conference talk about corruption and the fact that protection of the public purse is just an illusion and it's not a reality, and that while the people are complaining about it, those in officialdom seem not to be connected with it. I want to take you back to promises that were made. And I believe strongly, Mr. President, good morning to you wherever you may be, because these days I see that you've been doing a lot of travels. Mr. Vice President, good morning to you as well. I want to believe, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, and all ministers, chief of staff, everybody else who are in this second term of the Nana Addo Dankwa-led administration, I want to believe that they are still committed to the promises that they made. And that my small and simple advice from my village is this, that instead of focusing on breaking the 8, I think that if you focus on not breaking your promises to the people, you will be able to so easily break the 8. Now, we had occasion in this country in the first term of the Nana Addo Dankwa-led administration where he had a very unique style of announcing his ministers and telling us what the credentials of the said ministers are or nominees are and what their KPIs are going to be and the objective for which they were picked. The president did that at the Jubilee House. And for me, I thought that it was a very, very unique and perfect style because it made measuring and assessing them so easy. In fact, in the last administration, we had the likes of evaluation ministry, we had business development ministry, we had special initiatives ministry. You remember one constituency, $1 million and all of that. We had the business development ministry, we had Zongo development ministry and inner cities and all of that. Now, I want us to focus on the Zongo ministry because there is no community in this country. There is no region in this country. There is no city in this country that doesn't have a slum or a zongo. I may be using it interchangeably, but we saw how eloquently the minister, the very first born minister of the Zongo and Inner City Development or Inner City and Zongo Development Ministry, the Honorable Abubakar Sadiq, had eruditely told us where the Zongos are, what it means, the historical perspective and everything. And I learned a lot from that. But I'm saying that sometime earlier this year, there's a letter that was written from the presidency suggesting to us, signed by Mr. Eugene Ahin, who is the director of communications at the presidency, suggesting to us that the ministries, for example, of Zongo development, of business development, and special initiatives, and some other three others, making 6, which were directly under the presidency, had achieved all the objectives for which they were set up. And so the videos, the ministries would have to be truncated or set aside because they had achieved the purpose for which they were set up. That was what we were told from the presidency. It was a letter signed by Mr. Eugene Ahin on behalf of the presidency. That's the president, the vice president, the chief of staff. Everybody else worked at the presidency, and nobody disagreed with that position. Now, let me take you back to about 4 years ago. When that announcement was made, I went to Nima myself. There's a huge gutter project that's happening at Nima, and it's for the twin slum of Nima and Mamobi, decrepit, widely parked, heavily choked, heavily silted, and you see all their problems. Take a look at this quick video.
Filth, despair, neglect, deterioration, ticking time bomb, These words perfectly describes the current situation of the twin slums of Nima and Mamobi, arguably two of the most famous Zango communities in Ghana. Their story is not a pleasant one, even in the 21st century. Nima presents a jaw-dropping view of a packed, decrepit, haphazard, and unplanned housing units inhabited by impoverished people. Their needs are enormous, but the insufficient supply of shelter, water, electricity, employment, security, and good drainage system tops the wish list. These conditions have persisted since the early days, but haven't impeded her daily expansion. So, she continues to play host to a large number of rural-urban migrants from Ghana and parts of West Africa in an overwhelming fashion. Culture, religion, and tribal unity in diversity presents a delightful example.
That's a bit of the documentary we had done. Daniel Oklu, myself, Philip Katriku, we had gone to Nima, gone into the gutters to do that. And you can always catch the full version, the fuller version on YouTube. It's titled Slums in the City. So you see, we didn't start talking like this or start highlighting ills of society just tomorrow or yesterday or 3 days ago. We started a very, very long time ago. And that's how we have built our journalism career. Now, let me take you into the pits of that particular project that has lingered on, seen many different contractors, seen many different timelines, and these are children. That's me dropping in there. Danny, let's hear the SOT. Of the people of Mamobi and Nima so high.
And Mamobi.
This is the lowest point of a project that raised the hopes of the people of Mamobi and Nima so high. And with the rains fast approaching, their physical and medical threats heighten. Who do they look up to? What could they possibly hope for? And who do they turn to for help? Who will fix this mess here at Nima and Mamobi? For Community Connect, this is Johnnie Hughes reporting from Nima and Mamobi. That depth in which I went to is about 4 times my height. I'm more than 5 feet. I'm almost 6 feet. That depth is about 4 times my height. That was the kind of depth by the side of a gutter that's known as the Alhamdu gutter from the Nima 441 all the way to the very top. More than 1.2 kilometer stretch of gutter. It was only the middle part that had been done at the time. So you had all these gapping spaces on the sides. There's a carpet of waste. You find rodents. People are rearing cattle, sheep. There's plenty bola, rubber. The whole place is smelling. When it rains, the water comes all the way up. People have fallen into it. There's one guy called Mazu who had lost his brother there Sunday, because he had fallen into the gutter. Children fall into it every now and then. People openly defecate there and whatever. So when the promise of the Zongo Development Ministry came up, I was happy. This is the promise that birthed the Zongo Development Ministry. Take a look.
In the first 2 years of an MDP administration, under this Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication program, where every constituency will get $1 million every year for rural and deprived communities. Under this program, there should be no village or community. Once we implement this, the first 2 years, we will make sure we will not have a water problem or a toilet problem by the grace of Allah. In fact,
that's Vice President Dr. Mamia, who was a candidate. He was seconding the candidature of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. It was at the Trade Fair Center, and they had made this promise. So 2016 was the year. We were hoping that by 2018, this promise, which was made in the name of God, of course, by the byline, the battle is the Lord's, would have been achieved. We are in 2021, and we still have a huge deficit of that. But as if that was not enough, the Vice President had also mentioned that we're going to get $1 million per constituency. Did the constituency, Ayawaso East and West Central, did they get their $1 million per constituency? And what did they do with it? Did your constituency, which also has a Zongo, did you get your $1 million per constituency? And what did you do with it? Plus, do you still have water and toilet problems? Open defecation. Does your water flow? Do you have water and toilet problems? That's a question for another day. But I think that's one or two of the questions that should engage the minds of everybody else who is not focused on delivering the public good and also fulfilling the promises that were made to the electorate, but rather is more interested in breaking the eight. Let's now go to and listen to Honorable President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo announcing Honorable Alhaji Abubakar Siddiq at the presidency, the Jubilee House, for that prestigious position of Zongo Development Minister. Take a listen.
The critical areas of concern for the social cohesion and harmony of our country is the developments that are taking place in our inner cities and in our zongos. It was to meet the challenge of social development in zongos that we committed ourselves to establishing a Zongo Development Fund, and also committed ourselves to making a special effort to develop our inner cities. It's my view that if we're to succeed, not only in delivering on the promises of our manifesto, but more importantly, in the reasons for the promises of the manifesto, the development of our inner cities and our zongos, that they don't become areas of despair, areas of difficulty, areas of social conflict. The development that has to take place has to be coordinated.
You heard the president. So this was a very thought-through idea, forward-looking idea, which we all celebrated. The people in the Zongos hailed it. They were excited about it. And they were hoping that something would have come out of it. Of course, there's been some level of achievement. You would go to some of the Zongos now, you find AstroTurfs and a couple of other things there. But the bigger conversation about the Zongo Development Fund, you remember I told you earlier that when these ministries were scrapped, these 6 special purpose vehicles ministries were scrapped, the Zongo Development Fund went back to the presidency. Question is, how impactful has the Zongo Development Fund been since it was set up, and what was the impact of the Zongo Development Ministry? Tell you what, Honorable Abubakar Siddiq was not the only minister at the ministry. A former information minister, because Honorable Abubakar went on to become a minister of state at the office of the vice president after he was taken away from the Zongo ministry. A minister for information at the time, Honorable Dr. Mustafa Hamid, was then moved there. He enumerated the 4 key objectives beyond what the president has said at the ministry. Take a listen. He spoke to Omar Sanda of CTTV.
I've talked about health and sanitation, I've talked about education and recreation, and then we talked about development of businesses. Okay. It's one of our mandates.
And the last one would be what?
And then development of businesses, and then promotion of culture. Okay. I've talked about health and sanitation, I've talked about education and recreation, and then we talked about development of businesses. Okay. It's one of our mandates.
And the last one would be what?
And then development of businesses, and then promotion of culture.
Where are the businesses? What does the sanitation situation in the Zongos look like as we speak? Do they still have their water in the toilets? Where are the businesses? What does the educational status of our Zongos look like? How many schools, for example, have we built? How many businesses have we helped to set up with the Zongo Development Fund? Because now the Zongo is not what we used to know. It's not just an Islamic community. Now there are Christians, there are Hindus, there are all manner of tribes and religions in there. So it's not just one bunch of people, but a whole mix of individuals. Tell me, I want somebody in government now who's been screaming, breaking the eight, breaking the eight, breaking the eight, to come and tell me how many businesses in the Zongos have been developed, how the educational capacity of our Zongos have been elevated, how water and sanitation issues have been brought to the fore, and how culture has been made central. I want to know. I want to find out. Then there was also a minister for works and housing. You remember when the conversations had come up about how the slums look like, because each Zongo gave birth to another Zongo. How the slums look like. We were told that we were going to transform the Zongos to look like the big estates and the bougie residential areas. Here is Lawyer Atachia, who was a minister for works and housing in Parliament, no less a place on the floor of Parliament where the people are represented, telling us what would happen to Nima. Listen.
Talk about affordable housing, given the income levels of our people, without creating the requisite mortgage regime, and plans are afoot for us to create the mortgage regime so our people will move from tenants to become house owners within the span of about 15 or 20 years, as the case may be. Mr. Speaker, there is a slum upgrading which is about to happen. That is the Nima area. We would want to pay lip service to the fact that we have some Ghanaians who are living in slums. We want to begin with Nima and give Nima such a facelift. For the first time, we'll see the good people of Nima flashing toilets like anybody would do in this Limbo. And this is going to happen. Mr. Speaker, we cannot talk about, you don't live there, please, give me the space. You don't live in Nima.
I guess Nima and all the other Zongos now look like East Legon. They look like Trasaco. Nima. He said it in Parliament that there was a slum upgrade, restructuring, all the nice English that we like to speak in this country. He said Nima was going to look like East Legon. Go to Nima. Does Nima look like East Legon? Nima, does it look like East Legon? And Danny, I want you to play the videos that we got from Nima last week. I showed you the depth. Danny first showed the depth into which I jumped and did that SOT from Nima some 3-4 years ago. And then I will show you what the people themselves have done, because the minister said we're not going to pay lip service. It appeared we paid more lip service, and we like to make big speeches, and we like to not fulfill the promises we make to the people, and we like to make excuses, and we like to feel as if we are the lords over the people instead of remembering that we are the servants. I jumped into this. This is like 4 times my height. I jumped into it. This was what it looked like when that promise of we're going to turn Nima into East Legon looked like. And the minister even added insult to injury to suggest that for the first time, people in Nima were going to flush toilets like people in East Legon. He said that. Honorable Yusuf Jaja had taken offense on that occasion. Many others are taking offense. Danny, now let's go back to last week. Last week, we were at Nima, and nothing seems to have changed, except to say that the people have taken their destinies into their hands. So you see all this place that's been filled up. What you see, the debris and the red sand that you see, and you see the depth. There's a bit of a depth there, the hole there. But for the other places, they have been able to fill them. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. This is East Legon. All the buildings that we showed you in that documentary, you can go and watch the full thing, Slums in the City. Nothing seems to have changed. See, the rubbish, the baller. Then I'll show them where the people have filled, taking their destinies into their hands and filled the spaces that were left, because when it rains, water filled the space. Their children fall into it. Some people have died there. As Mazu, I told you, Mazu, we're told, died around that same area. They have decided to fill the space with sand because nobody has come to their aid since then. And I expect those who are shouting and seeking to retain in power to actually fulfill their promises and not break the promises. This is what they have done. You see, so we showed you that now they have filled it with all these things. What it means is that when the contractor returns to site, we will have to spend some more money, perhaps double what we had spent already, to try and scrape all of that side, because the original plan was to connect the gutters from their homes into that major drain and then stop flooding. Now, the people have waited and waited and waited and waited and waited, and we are not getting a priority right. So they have decided that they're going to fill the sides of that huge drain with what they can find, so that their children will not fall in there, their cattle and livestock will not be flown away by the water, and all of that. People's homes got broken because we wanted to construct gutter. What kind of respite is there? Is this the East Legon we were talking about? Is this the East Legon we were talking about? Is this the East Legon? And the people of Nima, the filth that you make there, the filth that you make there, the fact that there's space there doesn't give you the opportunity to be putting filth there, because mosquitoes and everything else will come to you. But Danny, we have shown them enough of this. Let's go to Agbogloshi. In the campaign season towards election 2020, our Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, who had told us in 2016 that no household in this country by 2018 will have water or toilet problems, had gone to make more promises instead of ensuring that the promise he had made in 2016 would have been fulfilled, instead of what promise his Minister for Works and Housing had given in Parliament would be fulfilled, instead of what had been enumerated by the President would have been fulfilled, instead of ensuring that what Honorable Mustafa Hamid had told us would have been done. Here is Vice President Dr. Bawumia Agbogboloshi. Listen to him.
The lives of the people of Agbogboloshi matter as much as the lives of the people of East Legon or cantonments. In all, you may see 8-unit toilets, 4 8-unit toilets, 32 toilets in all among the people of Agbogboloshi. Community center ha ye jinayi say ehie ahaso na mudimo ejumade wa ha community meetings enti Nana Akufo-Addo say yensensi SARS community center emamo enye no story building na emamo so that community center police station for over 120,000 people. It is a chamber and hall. And yes, sir. Minister of Interior, Obaha, Minister for Works and Housing, Yenina Koye, you say, just say, yes, see, new police station.
From there, the Vice President visited the yam and plantain markets. The purpose was to interact with the market women to find a solution to their challenges. In turn,
promises, are they being fulfilled? The story building, where are they? The hostels, where are they? The toilets, where are they? You see why we should focus on delivering the public good? Because whatever you promise the people, they're on tape, and thanks to GTV for that tape. Whatever you promise the people, they're either in your manifesto or on tapes, and people will refer you to those ones. People will make references to those things that you have promised them. People will remind you. So you focus on what you have been given rather than the next contract. Focus on the contract that you have and execute the contract so that the people can be happy. When you said that, the people jubilated. What we have done at Agbogboloshi is to move the onion sellers to the onion market at Ajekotoku, which is a good thing. But I'm saying that the other promises that you gave to the people, what has happened to them? That in my final video, the President of the Republic at the State of the Nation address in 2020 made reference again to the promise that was made by Dr. Bawumia. He was speaking in 2020, 2 years after the deadline they themselves gave to themselves. And that project had not been done. Listen to the President.
The latest data from the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources shows that ODF communities in Ghana as a whole have increased from 410 in 2016 to over 5,000 communities. Now that is progress. And it did not just happen. It took hard work, commitment, and the provision of infrastructure. In fulfillment of our manifesto commitment of toilets for all, we have built 13,800 toilets, which is largely responsible for this development. Mr. Speaker, we have not stopped building toilets. We will build more.
We have not stopped building toilets. 13,000, that's an achievement. But 13,000 out of what numbers? 13,000 out of 20,000, out of 30,000, out of 40,000, out of 50,000. Of course, we knew what targets we had. We knew what timelines we had. So, Mr. President, good morning to you. Can we at least focus on delivering the public good? Mr. Vice President, good morning to you. Can we focus on delivering the public good? Mr. Minister for Works and Housing, your predecessor made a promise, but the burden is on you now. The people of Nima and other Zongos are looking at you. Zongo Development Fund Manager, good morning to you. The question I asked this morning is, we made the promises, we gave the assurances, we reiterated the promises and added some more. Promise, more promise, many more promises. Question I'm asking this morning, like I ask every morning, is what has changed? Good morning.